The unfortunate truth is that child abuse and neglect most often happens at the hands of parents and caregiver. And I know that's not information that we want to hear and that it makes all of us feel really uncomfortable and it's heartbreaking. But I want you to understand that in my years of doing family crisis intervention and working with families and investigating child abuse, I will tell you that I encountered more parents who were struggling with their own stuff, who had their own stress and their own pain and their own trauma, and that what they were doing with their kids was really just their own way of acting out. And it was out of their own pain. And it may have been just because of their own limitations and their own skills. And it also could have been because of what they were given as kids, the tools that they were given as kids, or the tools that they weren't given as kids that are now showing up in their adult life. And as a result, it's caused them to do something that's either harmful or hurtful to their child. And it's the very rare occasion that you come across that parent or caretaker who really is malicious, just has bad intentions in their heart, and they set out to harm children, and they really don't care about the kids, and they see them more as a possession, and it is just an outlet for them. This video is not for them. This information is not for those type of parents. This is really about parents who are struggling, parents who have experienced some type of trauma or setback and challenge in their life, which has altered the way that they engage with their child, and not in a healthy way, but in a way that has become abusive, and it has crossed the line. And we often see that happening with discipline that's enforced with kids, where it becomes more rigid and more severe over time, and it crosses over that line into becoming something that's abusive. And I think that happens over time, and without intervention, without someone coming in and saying, hey, this is not good for either one of you, it can go on and it can become more severe. So what we really are talking about here is this isn't so much about calling and getting a parent in trouble and giving them consequences and having them dealt with the authorities, because the child welfare system is complex, it is flawed, it has challenges of its own, and it struggles with the volume of work that it has. And as a result, sometimes families are just not helped in the way that they need to be. So this really is about doing what we can initially to help a parent. When you see that a parent is struggling, doing whatever we can to help that parent before it even gets to a place where kids and parents are having to be separated. So there's so much that we can do before that even happens. So I really just want to make sure that if you're a parent and you're watching this, or maybe you're the protective parent and you have a partner or spouse who you have concerns has really crossed over into a place of where you're not okay with the discipline that they're using or the way that they're talking to kids, or you've actually seen them engage with your child in a way that's abusive. Maybe you yourself are in an abusive relationship with them. I want to make sure that you have the information that you need to remove yourself and your kids from that environment, or to get your partner or your spouse the help they need, or to get yourself the help that you need. And that really is about awareness. It's having awareness that it's happening. So I want you to make sure that you have watched and listened to the section on the signs and indicators, because I want you to really take an assessment of your parenting and how you're engaging with your kids. And if you see any of that has shown up in your life and in your environment and in your parenting, you do have to start questioning yourself. And you have to check yourself, and you have to ask if you have crossed over a line. And it's so important that you do this on your own, and that you reach out while you can, so that it doesn't get to the point of a child abuse report having to be filed and you having to go through the child welfare system. I encourage you to reach out to family members and friends and to talk to them. There are also parenting workshops where you can go and you can develop the skills that you need. And you can also just learn about parenting itself. If you as a child did not have the best of parenting, if you didn't have very good role models, then it could be unrealistic to expect that you would have the tools to be this version of yourself, to have this parenting ability that you were never shown. So we want to make sure that you get that information that you need and you get the support that you need. I have amazing resources at my website at nourishedminds.com that can help you. My goal with the work that I do with families in my practice is I am trying to be that first line of intervention to really help families to stop harmful behaviors, harmful patterns, toxic engagement, to deal with any kind of crises and challenges that have shown up in their lives, and to make sure that we are coming up with solutions that benefit everybody in the family, but also protect and keep people safe while still acknowledging the truth and the issues that need to be addressed and addressing them, because that's the most important part, is changing behaviors. And sometimes to change behaviors, we have to change beliefs, and we have to decide to do something differently. And that's what I help families to do. If you feel like you or a family member can benefit from that type of work, do not hesitate to reach out to me. As I said before, I work with families. I do phone consultations, and I also do consultations online via Skype. So that's an option for you as well. And if you feel like that's not something you can necessarily afford right now, I also have a really affordable option for you in the form of self-help guides and books located at nourishminds.com as well. And you can go to my guide page. There's a guide library there, and hopefully you'll find a guide that will be really helpful to you. Now, if you find yourself in the position where you have been the subject of a child abuse investigation, whether it's in the past or you're currently in that situation, or you suspect that you may be in the future, I have a guide, and it's really important that you go and you download and you get it as soon as possible and read through it. It's called the Child Abuse Investigations, Knowing Your Rights. And it's about getting educated and informed as to what your rights are, what the process of reporting is, what that means to you and your family, and also the investigation from beginning to end. What are all the possibilities of what can happen, what you can expect, and most importantly, understanding what your rights are. As a social worker, I was astounded and often just really shocked by how little we understand about our civil rights. And I'm one of the first people to admit that I don't necessarily know if the government and government agencies, if that's a priority for them to educate us on what our rights are. And it really is our responsibility. So what I help you to do is to know what your rights are so that you can enforce them and you can protect your family. Because while I worked for the Child Welfare Agency for as many years as I did, I am completely aware that it is flawed and it's imperfect. And my goal is to make sure that families don't get caught up in that system. And I believe that with early intervention and with support and guidance from a professional, whether it's me or somebody else, that does not have to be your fate. So I hope this information was helpful to you. I hope that you've gotten some useful bits of information out of this so that you feel more comfortable and more confident, whether it's in your own parenting or your need to help a child or a family who's going through a difficult time. Again, if you would like additional information, be sure to go to nourishminds.com. You can also subscribe to my monthly newsletter, and you can do that at my website as well. And I will give you updates about new videos coming out, new guides. I release new guides every month, so you'll get automatic notifications about when those are coming out. And like I said, they're a much more affordable option for people to get the help that they need. And you should also subscribe to the podcast. I do these weekly, and we have different topics every week where we really talk about the things that are afflicting our lives, right? What we're going through, the family challenges that we have, the individual challenges that we have, whether it's as consumers trying to get services, whether it's healthcare, medical care, about also just knowing the foods and what we're putting into our body, and how to protect our rights, and how to demand the things that we need, and how to use our power to get things to change, especially at a legislative level. And we're having all of those discussions there, and I want you to be a part of it. I also want you to share. Please make any comments that you have. Try to keep it nice, but make any comments that you have, and also share any questions that you have. You can write a private question to me if you go to my contact page at nourishminds.com and send me a private question if you have one. And let me know what you'd like to hear on the podcast, if you have a specific idea, or maybe you have a guide that you really need on a particular topic, and we would love to be able to create that and get that out there for you. So get involved, get active. This is really about us deciding together as a community what our greatest needs are, and then getting that information, and then getting informed and using it to take back control of our lives. I appreciate you being here, and I just want to leave you with this last note, and that's to remember, my empowered friends, that when you're informed, life improves. Take care.